Hello and welcome back. My name is Tuxedo Ian. Today we will be getting into part 26 of our playthrough of Book of Hours. We are still in autumn of our second year, and we've made a couple more rooms open. We've found a couple more books, and we've learned a few more skills and advanced Pearl and Tide to the highest level we've got so far. So hopefully we can read one of those rose books that's been bothering us for a while. So let's dive back in and see what we can get done today. Welcome back, Librarian. Everything is remembered, Hush House endures. So, yesterday we found the Gospel of Zacchaeus, an extremely heterodox account of the Nazarene Messiah and his works, ascribing his ascension to the Mansus through the opening of his body. Well, as we said yesterday, that's obviously supposed to be a Christ figure that we're being told about. But we can work on reading that today because we are reading a book there. We have a book we are reading to get a knock memory, so we should be able to reach 8 knock and read Gospel of Zacchaeus. Oh, and we got some fog. That makes it even easier. But we can also use that fog for a moon book, which I think is probably going to be the better play. Because we do have the cat wink. So that's 3, 4, 5. And 6 makes 11. And 12 with the globe. So we can probably read the 3 and the 3 there. Alright, so there's our knock memory pattern. And we can read a knock book right here. So we will add Shapt, memory pattern, door and wall, and we are a match for this book. We are just about finished reading this book. This was The Other Eye of the Serpent, in which the Heresiarch Signifer attempts to resolve certain mysteries of lightning. Signifer considers lightning to be the division, the connection, the joined serpent. The serpent's eye is said to be the sun, but as the division and connection, it must have a second eye. Signifer considers and rejects 3 times the hypothesis that the moon is the serpent's other eye, insisting that it and the sun do not share a nature. This, as much as the serpent business, is what got him burnt by the church. He proposes that the serpent's teeth are towers, that the serpent's mouth is a gate, that the serpent is the devourer of yeasts, and therefore that the serpent's other eye is amber. So that's given us memory pattern and Librarian lapidary lessons. So we'll note down that this is a memory pattern book and stick it onto our shelves up here. Alright, so let's see where we're at then. So we want to try and read the 3 and the 3 today, I think, because we do have that nice weather. So we will add the fog. We will add our tryst to get a word, so that brings us to 4 moon. We have some catwink, that brings us to 6. And then we have that gets us to 12. So I think we should be able to do that. Or actually, what we can do here, we'll use Pearl and Tide instead. Ooh, actually, we could make some Asmiel. So that would be 1, 6, 7. Yeah, we'd have to give up the fog to get the Asmiel, but that would give us more moon, but I think we can probably do it. So we need another 2 moon memory, so we can get started on that. We can read Book of the Centipede, which will give us intuition, which has 2 moon. And we have tryst, which we have 2 trysts for moon, plus we have plenty of objects that give moon. So let's see, Anberry and Lapidary. is currently at level 2, and we need Forge and Sky for that. So we can come over to our desk up here, which is currently busy. We can come to our desk Nana. This is where we were going to try and read the berry book. So let's see, with health, and that, and the knife. We need Killisimi to read it. And then we need a... Is that our highest nectar skill? No, Spices and Savors gives us 5, so that gets us to 8, and we can master this mystery. Nectar is in full flower. So the berry book. Thyrza Blake, 7th Librarian of Hush House, talks about fruit. For no other apparent reason, but that it was the kind of thing she did, she talks about fruit in the woven language of Killisimi. And let's see, we had another bust laying around somewhere that we needed to check out. Where was it? Up here somewhere? Ah, yes, we did. We have Gideon DeWolf. This bust is terracotta, brightly painted. So we have some spare souls fragments, so we will investigate this and see where he is supposed to go. And before we start the timer up again, let's see if there's anything else that we can do. So we have 7 Moth, 7 Winter there. Seven Grail, 7 Nectar. Well, we have several bits of Grail wine that we can use. We have some Nectar wine we can use. I think we'll use the Domain Raveline, and we will go to get Mrs. Kill. We can use one of our core to get Mrs. Kill's attention. Mrs. Kill's mood always improves when I drop by. Mrs. Kill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. As somber as autumn, as kind as autumn. She also likes her beer. Alright, so first off, we will give her an Arab to get her to 4. My pride will find an echo in theirs. And there is our Domain Raveline, so that'll get us to 6. And then we just need a 2 Grail Memory to get her to Grail 8. Or we just need something with Grail to get her to 7. We can use the Spice Scales to get her to 7. I'll grab that bottle of Schloss Jennings for later. We may need some edge. Let's see, is there anything else in the book cabinet over here that we might be close to reading? 10 Grail. We have 3, 4, 5, 6. Not really yet. We need a few more lessons in Grail from somewhere. See, is that the only Grail skill we have? Yes, we also have Tridesma Hiera, so that's not going to do us any good just yet. We need Deep Mandaic for that. We need lots of edge for that. Moth. We could probably do Sunset Cecilia in the End of Days. Okay, so Gideon DeWolf. Gideon the Physician, 5th of his line, nicknamed the Motley Baron by those who disliked him, and the Cutter by those who feared him. Okay, so we must have... Musgrave must be number 4 instead of number 5, because he was the one that didn't tell us a number. And we have a Memory of Sight. Maybe we'll find some use for that. A little bit of Lantern Power. Okay, so we filled up the first 2 levels. So we just need to find the 5th and Librarian on. So we know the 7th is for Thyrza, if we can ever find where her bust is. We have... we've gotten some hints as to the other one. David Green is 8th. Let's see. Anything that we can do up here? Okay, that would be 9 Forge or 9 Lantern. possibilities exist there, but I think today we're going to focus on doing some reading, and try and get Mrs. Kill as high as we can. If we can get her to, can we get her to 11? Let's see what we can do. These may have to remain locked for a while. I don't know that we'll be able to get her there. We do have this, which we could use to get Mr. Kill. Well, I don't know if we could use that with Mr. Kill or not. Eagerly, we anticipate our work. So then we will also give her the Domain Raveline, which will get her to 6. And let's just do a scan here of what stuff we have that is... Okay, so we do have some blackberry jam. We have the hot cocoa, we have the sloe gin, we have this bottle of, this pot of fragrant chalice tea. We have the spice scales. We have the mommet we could give her, which would give her another 4. That actually may be what we want to do, because if we could make some progress here in the curcubit. Because these will be fairly easy to open up later with stuff we have. Because we know we can get her to 7. We can add the mommet and get her to 11. So there is our moon memory. And let's see what it's asking for. So it's going to ask us for a soul, a memory, or a thing. Okay, so we definitely have a memory we can use. So that'll allow us to finish reading this book. So if we give her this, that gets her to 10. I can lend my assistant something to help increasing their abilities. This is a device, a one-use tool. You won't get it back. Yeah, I think we have one more. We have some food. Yeah, so we can get her to 11 to have her open up that room in the curcubit. We'll do that. And we finished reading this book up here. An Echo of Silence, a very heterodox history of the House of Lethe as recorded by the Serenity, a Lethean Dep who declares that the House of Lethe was created explicitly to prevent the ascension of any more mortals to name or hour status. Eternity cannot be escaped, but in history it may be delayed, the Serenity explains. The gods who were flesh by their nature are a surrender to eternity. The roots of the house are said to pass into the Wood of Dreams through 3 forests in the bounds, identified as the Bay Eli, the Black Cedar Forest, and the Brechiliant. While one tree of these may yet stand, one single tree, the histories continue. So it's given us 2 lessons in Sacralime and a Memory Impulse. So we will go ahead and mark this with Memory Impulse. Not that we probably will need it in the future, but that way we at least have it marked. And we'll just put it next to this other Impulse book that we have here. Alright, so do we have Sacralime yet? No, we do not. So we can go ahead and learn Sacralime. And then we can use Memory Impulse to level it to level 2. Alright, so there's our opportunity to use a memory, and that gets us to 14 moon. Almost missed that. Okay, so we need one more piece of portion of Grail. We could give her the Sea Blessed Pears, but I think we'll just use the Spice Scales, because... Oh, we've already given her a tool, so yeah, we'll give her we'll give her the scale, or the pears. And that will get her to Grail 11. We've reached a moon culmination. And just to check, so let's see what we had. If we needed to use an object, what do we have that would have 2 moon on it? If anything. Yeah, we had... Well, the Whispering Sand would have also done it. So we finished reading The Three and the Three, the Vatican manuscript, a church-authorized version of an older text. This book describes the Chancel and the Calyptra, two triads of hours with subtle, far-reaching powers and responsibilities. It has clearly been reworked to fit church doctrine. The deepest knowledge is forbidden to all mortals except those who seek it beneath the watchman's tree. It is Calyptra that planted that tree, but it is the Chancel, the Cruciate, that has elected Calyptra. Who, then, elected the Cruciate? Or is this, as the saying goes, a matter of Janus? The sister and witch is the Cruciate, but the witch and sister is not. Even those powers that demand a conjunction are not always conjoined. When the sister is nowhere, does this mean nowhere sits in Crucium? We've got a memory intuition back, and 2 lessons of Edicts Inviolable. So we can grab this and mark it with intuition. And move this down to our red books shelf. Alright, so let's see. So with Edicts Inviolable, we are at level 1, so we can use one of those lessons and the intuition to get it up to level 2. I think we'll spend the rest of the day probably using up these lessons. So there we go, the Gospel of Zacchaeus. 7 were the wounds of his body, 7 the doors of the house, 7 the lesser aspects of the hours, and knock the aspect above all, for the mother of ants is the mother of salvation. The book includes a description of a rite which can be used to raise a corpse to half-life, in memory of he who bled for the wood, but the Marginalia claim that the Mother of Ants no longer permits use of this rite. So that's given us a book that has Stolen Secret, and 2 lessons for Horns and Ivories. So we can mark that with Stolen Secret. And that gives us yet another book to place onto our Rare Memories shelf here. And we are just about done there. So we've acquired Sacralime. And we can use the second lesson and the Memory Impulse. And then we need Sky or Moth, so we can use actually we'll use one of our Fets for that. Always more to learn. The Horns and Ivories is at level 1. We can get it to level 2, and then we'll need 2 memories to get it to level 3. And we have finished reading the Berry Book. Who was it once said, fruit is the womb of a plant? It was me. Take a few moments to think on that enripened wisdom. I shall leave a blank space for your moments here in this page. My, isn't she fancy? Nectar, children mine, cast my words into a sufficiency of nectar, and watch the Pyrus Perismus burst from wood. Gather more nectar, wring it from the trees and earth, and our Perismus gushes forth the sacrament. You will thank me. So that gives us a recipe. So a scholar level recipe gives with wood, and nectar gives us the Pyrus, or the copper pears that we can harvest in Numa. And then going farther beyond that, the pears plus 15 nectar would give us a sacrament. We get memory satisfaction and lesson on leaves and thorns. So we'll mark that with memory satisfaction. Not that I think we're ever going to need that. But we can now pop this up onto our red books area. Up here. Yeah, I think most of these are not within our reading range. That's 14 Forge. We might be able to get there, but it would be a task. That one, we're getting close. It would let us level up preliminal meters some and get some more rows. Or we could do History of Inks and get some Inks of Power skill. That's the one we do. We have Containment and Revelation. We don't have Inks of Power yet. But I think we've got enough lessons here that we need to spend, so we'll work on using those up today. Because we still have 2 days left or the rest of today and then tomorrow before the season ends. Alright, so there's Mrs. Kill with 11 Grail. So we'll send her to clear out this room in the Curcubit, the blackened staff room. The same story as the yard below. Seared bones, blackened walls, furniture half consumed by fierce fire. But much of the room remains untouched. And Sacralime is now level 2. The rites of an order of immortals who have tried to remain apart. These rites touch on secrets of the hours of the Mansus, chiefly gods who are flesh and gods from light. So it's Moth and Sky, can be given to Horomakistry or Hushery, and it's effective against curses. So finally we have a skill we can use against curses if we have the proper... It's like we have this book with 5th Eye Curse on it, which would need 7 heart to get rid of, but curses aren't terribly bad because they can't spread, so it might be useful to keep one of those around for the moment. So let's see, next up we have Librarian Lapidary, which is at level 2. We'll need Forge and Sky for that. Edict's Inviolable we can level. We can use the... Actually, we can use the Satisfaction for that. And our core. Will give us another level in that. And while we're thinking about it, so this is Moon and Heart. So we have 1 Moon memory here. We need 1 more, so I'll start reading another Heart book. So we can do... What Does Not Bark and gets Memory Storm. That'll give us 2 Heart. Our Heart and Moon there. Sickle and Eclipse. Hold off for that for now. Horns and Ivories. We can use the Stolen Secret for that because that's knock. Get that up to level 2. Leaves and Thorns. We need a Grail or Nectar memory. We can do Grail Satisfaction. Nice. Edict's Inviolable is now level 2. So let's see, we were saying we can do Horns and Ivories with a Stolen Secret. And Shapt. And then we need 1 more. We need to reread that and get another Stolen Secret. And that'll let us get Horns and Ivories to level 3. Alright, so there was our room is open. So we have the staff room. The warders at Brankrug were a cut above your usual prison warder. Former bureau constables, repentant no, turncoat Tragulari, veterans of the Legion de Sceaux. When the end came, none of that mattered. But here, for a while, when the winter storms battered the walls, they hunkered close to this glowing stove to share tea and comradeship and stories of their very different lives. We have 2 cups of Dawn Lion coffee. We have a dartboard. The thock of the darts punctuated the long evenings and drifted down the corridor to the grilled doors of the cells. The extra-angulari always won, and rather soon none of the other guards would play with them unless they agreed to a blindfold. So this is Edge, Moth, and Sky, but it is fixed in place. I can't remove it, and no librarian of the house would be so crude as to damage it. We also have some key hooks. All of the keys of all the cells still hang here. I can unlock them all at my leisure, but the most significant cells of the Curcubit were protected by more than locks. The least cells I shouldn't trouble with. The keys to the most cells are labeled Adept, Long, W.I., and unhelpfully, ? We have another pot of Dawnlion coffee here. We'll move that to the table so it's easily seen. We have a staff room stove, a quiet little furnace. A tiny potted tree, tiny as a ship in a bottle. A severe chair, unfussy marsh green upholstery. And a staff armchair, polished by the posteriors of dozens of loafing prison guards. So a comfort with 2 knock, that might come in handy. And the new rooms we have access to now, we have access to the sealed cell. A sign outside this cell reads, "Warning, do not insert keys without first invoking adequate authorization." The key is in the staff room, but I shouldn't turn it without invoking powers to provide a reasonable facsimile of authorization. 12 forge or 12 knock. And the smoky chamber. The room is almost untouched, but little fires still burn here, blithely ignoring the absence of fuel, filling the room with 7 years of smoke. 12 forge or 12 heart. So those are going to be a little trickier to get into. We might need to do some hunting for stuff that we can use to get into them. But like I said, I think the rest of the day we're going to focus on trying to get some of these lessons used up. Just waiting on our reading here. Oh, there's... Okay, Horns and Ivories is now level 2. Just about done here, so that is our heart, so we can do Edicts Inviolable. And that will get it to level 3, which will give us 4 heart and 3 moon. Finally getting some good heart skills. Okay, so we have a pattern, so forge and knock, and we're reading a knock book. We're reading heart and grail there for leaves and thorns. We're reading a knock book up here for horns and ivories. Alright, so there's our grail for leaves and thorns. And there is our next. Our memory stolen. Stolen secret. And Edicts Inviolable is leveled up to 3 now. So we're going to do Horns and Ivories. Whoop, wrong one. Horns and Ivories. Lesson. Pattern. Stolen secret. And Shapt. Then Leaves and Thorns. We'll have just enough time, I think. We start now, we can get the 2 lessons we need, the 2 memories we'll need. So we need... So Leaves and Thorns is going to be Nectar or Grail, so we can do Nectar. And we can do... Yeah, we can do Grail here, because we'll have used up the satisfaction before this finishes reading. As soon as we learn how to read Fusine, these will all fall pretty easily. Right, Horns and Ivories is now level 3. 4 scale, 3 knock. So we need Leaves and Thorns. Lesson. Memory. Nectar or Grail. So we use Core for Grail. have our Arab for the second level of it. So let's see, we're at 5, 6, 7, 8. We know we can get to 9. Can't quite get to the Cucurbit prisoner records just yet, but we'll get to those fairly soon, I think. Yeah, because this is going to give us 4 nectar, but we already have spices and savors gives us 5. So we need to collect our 2 memories. Leaves and Thorns, Impulse, Satisfaction, and Arab. And that will finish out the day by upgrading that to level 3. And if nothing else, that gives us more of a Grail skill, because this one's only 3 Grail. This one will be 3 Grail, so another Grail skill that we can use, possibly. Alright, and there goes our day tick over, so we're going to go ahead and call it a day at this point. We'll finish up. Let's see what kind of weather we'll have to work with tomorrow, and we can kind of make some plans. Rain! Oh, that helps us out quite a lot. Because it is the end of autumn, we may be able to do something with that extra nectar. But the Grail also would be very helpful. So we will call it a day at this point, and if you've been enjoying watching, please leave a like or a comment. If you want to see more of this, feel free to subscribe. I'll be posting these Book of Hours every Monday through Friday, and I will see you on the next go-around. See you tomorrow.